In my heart of hearts, what do I want to take? And I honestly thought that it would have been too much pressure if it's the first path. But at the same time, if I look at the company, on all the headlines, they're doing well. Even though my heart of hearts goes to I really like my current life, I can't help but think am I not being ambitious enough? Am I missing something? Hi everyone. Today I'm going to use a classic example to talk about the difference between bootstrapping and raising venture capital money. And this is a real life example. I recently heard of a startup that's also in Seattle that raised $60 million with 3 founders for a AI research labs startup. And I literally thought about this for a whole night. The question is, will I trade my current life for their life? It's a very interesting exercise to illustrate the differences between the bootstrap startup and the venture capital startup. Let's just take their example. $60 million, probably on a $300 million valuation, 20% of the company, Series A. They probably also gave out another 10 to 20% before Series A. So at this point, they're down to 60% or even 40% of the company because of the 20% employee options pool. They have 3 founders, so everyone right now has about 15% of the company. By the time this is all finished, I think every founder has about 8% of the company. That is actually overestimation. When DoorDash went IPO, each founder has 5% of the company. This is a research lab startup, and it requires tremendous amount of capital. Furthermore, they are banking on a gamble, right? It's a research project. There's a 90% chance that the research may not work. And then there's a 10% chance that their AI model is being used by hundreds of others, robots and factories and so on, which then they become a 1 to 10 to 100 billion or $1 trillion company. So it's a shot in the moon. So why trade that life versus my current life? So let's do some comparisons. Very interesting. Their life is called a 10% chance of a $1 billion outcome. Each founder owns 8%, so $80 million. They probably work for about 8 years, so about $10 million each year. During that entire 8 years, they don't see a high increase on their total compensation because the board dictates how much compensation they will get. Makes sense. And so this is about for 8 years, working really hard, and then maybe after 8 years, there is a windfall. There's obviously the 0.1 or 1% chance this is a $1 trillion company, in which case all bets are off. Whereas take a case like mine, without divulging too much of the numbers, there's a 99.9% chance that we'll get to at least $50 million in the next 15 years. And I put a 99.9, basically it means that we're barely growing for the next 15 years. The goal is actually get to 100 or 200 million in the next 15 years. $50 million ARR, give a very bad multiply by 5, so $250 million. And say I own 50% of the company, and that's 125. So 125 million over the course of 15 years, that's about, call it $8 million per year on average. Also, it's a 6x multiple. You end up with basically also about $10 million per year. So that's $10 million per year for the next 15 years. You can say that at the end of that 15 years, if I don't sell, I'm not actually able to capitalize on any of that money. But because it's bootstrap, or we don't have a VC firm in our board, I can start giving myself a higher salary because I control the board, or I can give myself a higher salary than a normal VC-backed startup. So I do actually get liquidity way before the 8-year mark. So on one hand, I don't have any liquidity for 8 years. On the other hand, I have higher liquidity in the next couple years. And at the end, there's a 99.9% chance I will make, call it $10 million every year for the next 15 years when all is said and done. In this case, I have a 10% chance that I can do so. I have a 90% chance that I basically made zero. And then I have this 0.1% chance. This is like 100x of $10 million per year, which is call it $1 billion a year. In my heart of hearts, what do I want to take? And I honestly thought that it would have been too much pressure if it's the first path. But at the same time, if I look at the company, they are hiring the most accomplished people out of Ivy Leagues. Their entire cabinet consists of PhDs in computer science. On all the headlines, they're doing well. They are doing something that you turn an eye of like, okay, they are really changing the world. Even though my heart of hearts goes to like, I really like my current life, I can't help but think like, am I not being ambitious enough? Am I missing something? I think that the sentiment is actually this. I feel like I'm intellectually right. But why is it that I am the minority in the entire world, at least according to LinkedIn or TechCrunch or all the news articles, that we are just a nobody? That's kind of the tension with all the bootstrap startups. It's very countercurrent to the culture of startups. Like they grab all the headlines, they're trying to change the world, they get the highest density of talent, and intellectually, financially, and if you do all the math, it was so clear to me that our option is better, yet it doesn't feel like it's better. So you can almost have two paths. One is so obviously better than the other one, but the world almost doesn't give you this like positive feedback loop that this is way better. I want to make this video to illustrate this very interesting feeling. Maybe this is a video for the people who are watching that are not shooting for the moon, that like, you have my vote. I am definitely on the same boat as you. And I can also testify that I feel a little bit of uncertainty sometimes when I look into the news, because most news articles don't write about bootstrap startups. So thank you so much for watching. If you're watching this, just keep hanging on to it. Your path towards financial freedom as an entrepreneur is probably way more solid and grounded in truth than any other companies that are shooting for the moon. Obviously, if you want to shoot for the moon, go for it, and I wish you good luck. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.